Okay. So we have you on the chair, me on the. All right, I guess, or is that about the same height? We're about, we're
now.
Okay.
Do you want me looking at you or looking at the camera?
I don't know.
Okay.
We probably need to, we can look at each other and kind of look at the camera like that. So this is all about our Rocket Mass heater. So we have lots of questions to add to our series on our Rocket Mass heater build last fall, which we did in October. And this is March. So that was October of 2025, and this is March of 2026. So you have some questions about the heater that you had thought of.
I do. So you have lived with this heater now for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going? What?
So we haven't used it now in probably a month and a half.
Because it's March, almost April.
Yes, we had a really bad cold snap, 2 weeks ago or so?
It snowed.
Yes, and it went down into the 20s. We did not get to use it. And the reason was we ran out of wood.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know we were going to have this heater for the winter. I mean, I knew we were going to build it, but we didn't, know what size wood to get or anything like that. So we didn't really cut wood for the whole year. So, but we did get to use it for the most part during the coldest part of December and January. And I love it. Oh my gosh, I love this heater. So we do have some issues right now. There's a crack right here, and there's a crack right here. So we haven't fully finished it, and of course our barrels don't look all that pretty. But this whole thing just feels warmer in this house. It just makes us feel, I don't know, I just like the way it feels. We are going to still put something around the barrels. We have some ideas. Either we can paint them, but we have to be careful about painting them so we don't off-gas anything bad. But we also have these kind of a fencing, not even fencing, sort of like those metal pieces in the back, but it's a
panel.
Yes, they're panels that would go around there with holes in them.
Okay.
Sort of like lattice, but a little bit closer together. So, and it's real shiny and pretty. So we think that's what we're going to do. We'll have to cut it, to fit around there. And the other end of the heater's not completely smooth like this. So, and we can come back and patch all these little areas that have cracks. Because we didn't know what was going to crack and what wasn't. But anyway, so we do have a little bit more work to do on it. So I learned a whole lot about emptying out the ashes if we needed ashes. I learned a lot about building a fire in it. It was a lot easier. Literally in 5 minutes I have a fire going. In 30 minutes it is very warm to where it warms this whole room. So it's way faster than my propane heaters at warming up the air, just the air in the room, which feels so lovely, especially on really cold mornings when I got to get ready to go to work. So when I'm here, we figured out how to make it last a long time. That was my biggest concern. Everything I saw on Rocket Mass heaters, they kept having to feed it like every 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh gosh, I can't ask Tim to do that, and I can't do that. But what I figured out is, so in the bottom, you get a bunch of hot coals. Okay. You have small wood to start with, and you feed it a good bit, so you make this barrel really hot in a big hurry. Mm-hmm. So you get the main, and some of your heat is going to go out because you're making it really hot, and this cannot absorb everything that fast.
Yeah.
It's going to take time for the mass to heat up.
Mm-hmm.
So the first bit of heat is definitely nice and warm in the room, and we are going to get some that goes out the chimney. So that's not as efficient as if you're doing it more slowly. Mm-hmm. But it's lovely when it's nice and cold morning and I can warm this place up really quick. So we do that, and then it makes coals in the bottom. And we were making our wood too long, so this is, turns out this is 7 by 7 by 7, this little chute. So it's 7 inches square, and then it's about, 1 feet, it's about a foot down, probably a little more than that, because it's 1 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet is the J-tube. Okay. But it's a little bit more than a foot. So I think we cut our wood this year at 14 inches. Mm-hmm. We had longer wood, like 16 to 18, and it would stick out the top. when it had coals in the bottom. It wouldn't as long as there was no coal. So we want the coals in the bottom because then I can put a piece of wood this big in it that fits that 7 by 7 inch hole, and it slowly goes down. Literally, I was able to put bigger pieces of wood, and it would be 3 hours before I had to feed it again. And then it warms this whole bench. So it can't quite go through the whole night, but several times I have come in the morning and there's still coals in the bottom. Red, hot coals. Because it just slows way down as far as how fast it burns, especially if I close these. So what I've done is I've learned how to move these, open it wide to make it go fast, and then push it closer and closer together until I barely have a crack. And then I can even push them all the way together and it still burns. And there's a little bit of leakage of air, so it burns very slowly. So that's been really cool. I've learned how to do all of that. So it's been really fun. So we haven't been through a whole winter yet from beginning to end, but we've already started cutting wood for next winter because we've got to have it, let it dry. So we will take our camera, we'll go down and show you where I'm going to put all the wood. Tim's got his own wood shed up on top of the hill in our wood shed that he uses, but I'm going to have my own down here. I have a rack outside, and then I have these 2 racks in here for wood and kindling. So I've got little wood fire starters. So I put a light right here on the corner so I can see down in the chute, so I can put my wood in there and stack it just right, get it going. You put it a little tiny, you put it close together, just enough so air comes through. And it just works great. So I learned very fast. Now, there is a time when the smoke comes back in.
Okay.
And that's because if it's not that cold outside,
you don't get the draw.
You don't get the draw.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if we do that, we have to open that little flue pipe. There's a piece on the end right there. We pull it off, and I was trying to put a fire starter in it, but it would just fall down. It would fall down to the bottom of the flue. So I put a piece of cardboard. So I've saved some cardboard. We cut it, and we literally, it sits right in the end of that flue pipe, and I light it.
Warms it.
Yeah, I light it, and it stays there until it burns, and then it warms the pipe, and then boom, then we have the draw. So that's happened just a couple of times. I got it smoky in here when it wasn't cold enough outside, but I really still wanted a fire inside. So Alabama is not the coldest place.
Yeah.
And I don't know how efficient this is going to be as far as like up in Montana when they used 10 cords of wood, they were able to get it down to 1 cord of wood. I might not be able to get that efficient because I'm mainly heating this airspace in the mornings, but we're going to kind of see how much wood it takes us to get through next winter. And we'll have the measurements of it won't be a cord, but it'll be a face cord or something. We'll have the measurements and we'll be able to tell how much wood that we use. The other thing is, because I'm in a tiny house, this is a lot smaller. So a bigger mass heater, if I turned this corner, if I went straight that way, a bigger mass heater is more efficient than mine because I'm so small. And once this is heated up, it's not going to take any more heat. It's going to go out the flue. But a bigger mass heater, it's going to really take a lot more heat. It's a bigger battery. It warms up the house, for a lot longer period of time when you have a whole lot more mass going that way.
The bench is
yes.
15 feet as opposed to
exactly this little
4.
one. Right. So that makes a difference. But I feel really happy about it because if propane gets super high, if I'm old, I can do this.
It's not hard.
No, we can cut down really small trees. I can't have trees much bigger than, not more than 6 or 7 inches in diameter, which is very easy for me to pick up and hold, easy for us to collect, easy for us to split. All of it is easy.
You don't have to be splitting logs like
exactly.
this whole day.
So this actually, I think, is going to be great. When I'm retired, I can be here and feed it as much as I want. I can light it if I come in the middle of the afternoon and it's a cold day, and I can light it and be warm in 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It's super warm. I'm so excited about it. I've been cold in my little tiny house ever since I've had it, because my propane heaters can only do so much. So they do okay, you know, and I'm not freezing, but it just, I can walk around here, you know, in just a t-shirt and a pair of shorts. My feet still might be cold because of the underneath, but anyway, it's just lovely. It feels good, and I can do it. I helped build it. It was so empowering. Oh my gosh. And it makes me want to go build more. So we're actually going to build, when we build across the road, which we're going to go talk about shortly in our next videos, when we build across the road, and we might do a cob house, not sure. I know I can do it. And we're going to build some of these in those places over there too. So, and there's all kinds of applications. You can have a pizza oven. You can have pottery. You can do pottery in some of the...
A kiln?
A kiln.
Wow.
You can actually take an old kiln, a real old kiln, you know, a regular kiln, and take, I guess, the stuff off of it, but use that to put your pottery in, and you can fire it up in such a way that, because it only needs to stay at 1200 or 1500 degrees for a very short time in a kiln and slowly release, and that's what this does.
Huh.
So you can literally, they're building kilns and doing this, which is smoke free, you know, doesn't use electricity, all the things. So there's different applications for it. And of course, we already talked about in our previous videos when Dove was here helping us with the heater, she's going to do it in a greenhouse.
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully eventually be able to do a video of hers where we're building it, and I need to, you know, talk to her about it, but so there's lots of applications to be able to use it. So we had a gentleman who came that day who's also thinking about putting it in his shop. So he'll be able to have a really big one.
Yeah.
You know, and that'll help him, and he'll put it down on cement instead of having us have to have it raised up.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, so he'll put it down on cement, and that'll be another different application. So it's really, really exciting. So we'll take our video and we'll show you my little bits of wood and my little wood racks and my wood rack outside. I was super simple wood rack outside, and then we'll go look at the wood that we're starting to, I already helped stack all the wood that we got out of the woods. And of course, we live on 70 acres. We have lots of trees. We have lots of small trees that cannot grow bigger because of the canopy. So we're trying to be really judicious in what we cut. But so we have have no issues with wood. And I shouldn't until I don't live here anymore.
Do you feel like this is like a viable, low cost, sustainable solution for heat for folks? Or what do you see are the problems with that?
Yeah.
maybe?
So if you're looking at cheap, it is not. It is
Because
not
of the
cheap.
build.
Yes. Because of the flue and the pipes. That's the most expensive part. Nothing else was except for the flue going out, this flue and all the pipes. Because that in and of itself, plus we paid for somebody to come do it. So that normally somebody can do it, you know. I had somebody, because I'm a female, I had no idea how to do it. But the more we do of these, we can get teams together of people to go build them, and it wouldn't be all that expensive to hire somebody to come do it. People can do it themselves. And we're trying to do videos so people see how to do it. Because the people who are promoting this do not want to go all over the country and build every single rocket mass heater in the country. We want it to be where people do it yourself, a do-it-yourself project. So cost-wise, if you don't pay for somebody, it's probably, I think all our materials, I can't remember exactly. I think we added them up. It's probably about $2,000.
I think that's what you said.
Yeah, I think it's around $2,000. But if you consider putting a heating system in your house, now this isn't it isn't air conditioning, but if you put it's several $1,000s to put any kind of heating system in your house. If you just use propane, it's probably a little cheaper, but it's not nearly as warm. We have these propane heaters. Those have not been very good because they break.
Oh, really?
Yes, we had one up in our bathroom up at the barn. Literally, it worked 1 year, and it was $200 or $300 for that heater.
No.
Yep. So we're not, and you have to buy an expensive one even for that. I think to get a good one. Now these two that we have in this unit, we've not had to replace. But this one we've struggled with. The one in my bedroom's small and we haven't struggled with it at all. But this one, every year we've had to repair it for the last probably 3 years. And it's on its last leg. If we have to repair it again, it probably won't repair. So, and that's not bad. We've had this place 8 years. So that one, you know, but if you do a heat pump, now heat pumps, of course, do air conditioning. If you do the mini splits, which is air conditioning and sometimes heat, those are very expensive. So all in all, if you can build this yourself, it's way cheaper than other heating systems. You know, you can build it a good bit bigger too, which means the cost will be a little bit more. It might be $2,500. I don't. We have the parts list. We have all that. Of course, prices go up every year, but we do have that. So I think for me, it was great. I mean, it was well worth the money, and it was well worth. I can afford to hire somebody to come do it, to show the videos. I think that was well worth it for me to share that with everybody in my community and all around Alabama, which was our goal. So we didn't get to have our, you know, our big party like we were hoping to have, but we still got lots of good videos, and so we can show people what to do.
Does it make the air really dry? You know, I know my central heat, me and one of my kids get nosebleeds in the winter because it dries out all of the,
Yep.
you know, membranes.
I have to say this wood heat does that as well,
Really?
and my propane heat does not.
Oh, okay.
Nope, because it's a moist heat.
Right.
It literally will make your windows sweat. You'll see water, and
The
some
condensation.
houses it'll do the walls that way.
Wow.
Yep, we lived in a house with propane heat. It was city gas, not, you know, big heater outside. I mean the big tank outside, but all the walls sweated, and you could see, you know, how over years it turned orange, and it literally, you could see it going down the walls, and we would have to go clean. You know, we'd have to scrub them and clean them. So, but it definitely, propane is or natural gas is a moisture heat. But any kind of heat, and heat pumps, I guess, are probably dry heat as well, because you're pulling out moisture and putting it outside. So it always makes your house drier. You know, so
you put a kettle up there?
I do. So we have the kettle on top. We could make tea up there if we wanted to. But that's just an old kettle, and we put cinnamon in it and spices to make it smell really nice in here. So, you have other questions?
I think that covers it. Other than fixing up kind of the aesthetics on the barrel, you're not going to make any changes to it between now and next fire season?
Probably not. Probably not. I don't see any reason to. So, because I don't mind what this looks like, you know, the sandy color, it feels warm, you know, so, and we get to sit on it. We can sit on it in the wintertime. This does get warm enough that you,
really hot.
it does, not hot, but it's warm enough that you probably wouldn't want to stay on it for a very long time. And I think because it's short, if it had been longer,
it would disperse the heat.
yes,
more.
it would not be quite as warm right here in our butt. So I can put my hand here and I can leave it there, but it's like, ooh, it gets really warm. This is probably not quite as warm, so we could probably sit on it comfortably. And if I put a cushion on here, we could.
It wouldn't scorch the cushion?
Nope,
Okay.
it would not. So it would be fine. It would just warm everything up, and it would dissipate it a little bit more, I think. But Tim made this for me. I wanted the little couch-looking appearance, so he did the edges for me. And so we can't lean against that real hard, but it's still pretty. It's still pretty sturdy. It's pretty thick.
How long does it keep radiating heat and stay warm after the fire goes out?
So it depends on how cold it gets in the room.
Okay.
So on the very coldest days, I mean, I could put my hand on it and still feel some warmth, but it didn't really warm up the house. You know, I had to relight it. But like I said, several times there were still coals in there. So, but I put my hands on here. If it wasn't that cold out, this is nice and warm the next morning.
Oh, wow.
Yep, it's still warm. Even, you know, and I go to bed I probably stopped feeding it maybe 8:30. I usually go to bed between 8:30 and 9 most nights. And so the next morning I get up kind of early, probably 5:30 or 6, and I could still put my hand on it and it was warm. So that was really cool. So a few nights it wasn't, it depended on how much time I had early late in the evening to be in here and add more to it. Tim has come down some days, like when we were trying to learn, he would come down every couple of hours and he might stoke it, while I was gone, just to see if it would keep it, warm till the evening, and it usually did. But he didn't really do that every single day, and we didn't use it every single day because some days it wasn't as cold, so we let it go out. I'd light it in the morning, be nice and warm. I'd go to work and come home, and it would be dead. So, but I always had my propane as a backup. I do have a propane heater in my bedroom, and I turn it on when I shower. Mm-hmm. And I even have turned it on when I had this going, just to give me a little bit of warmth back in the back. But we've got little thermometers all the way through the house, and we were watching them.
Oh, progress.
Yep, we would watch them. And I took videos of all that as we went, so little short videos. So we need to probably add those to our repertoire.
Yeah.
But it got up to like 65 degrees in the back with no issues, even in my bedroom, which turns the corner. But sometimes I did, to get it warm quickly, when I had to shower, I would turn on the propane in the back. So we'll have to see how much we used in our propane. We probably used quite a bit because of this last cold snap. We had to use it. We had to keep the house warm to keep from freezing. Yep, keep from freezing the pipes. So I don't know if I would rely on this 100% because of that. We'd probably keep this one as a backup to make sure our pipes don't bust if it gets super cold and stays that way. Mm-hmm. So we still have the propane.
Did your pups like it? Did they
come yes. We didn't know how long it would take them to figure out to jump up here.
Oh.
And we got them down. I have 3 little ones that can jump up here, and the big one did not. She could, but she didn't. She didn't try to get up here.
Blue didn't want to get up
No,
there.
she didn't try it, but the little ones did. Mm-hmm. Not the littlest, but the 2 middle ones figured it out. They went, ooh.
Captain got up there.
Yes. He can jump really well, and then our new puppy was just a puppy. But since then they hadn't tried to, because it's been warmer, and so they hadn't tried to jump on it. So we may have to keep them off of it. One thing I didn't know, they lick it.
Oh.
They like the minerals.
Oh, in the
from
clay.
the clay.
Okay.
And we're like, oh my gosh, they're licking my heater. So I don't know if we have any tongue marks, but they have tried to lick it. And it doesn't.
Oh, funny.
And Blue's the main one that licks it. We have a little pile of clay out there that was left over, and we catch her and we catch our new puppy Lupe in it. They just sit there and lick the clay.
Oh, funny.
So they must like the minerals.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to have to train them not to lick my heater. And our grass is gone. We had the little grass growing here.
The grass is gone.
The little piece. We had 2 pieces and they're gone. Oh, look. That one's the dead piece is right there.
One was like, whose was this?
No, it was right in here somewhere. I think it's gone. But anyway. Anything else you can think of?
No.
All right. So we'll go look at wood. All right. So let me take this. So here's my little carriers. Tim built these. He curved these pieces of wood to be able to do this. This is my cardboard. I usually keep it right here. And so that's my kindling wood. This is cedar, and cedar burns really fast, really quickly, and you can cut it the same year and not have to dry it out. So, and there's my little bucket I use to put all my ashes in, and then I take the ashes and put it in the garden. So here's the flue pipe, and we're going to try to make these look a little better, these bricks, or get something that's a little bit more attractive. And so then there's down into the flue pipe, and you can kind of see there's still a little bit of ash in there. I'll probably clean it out. But this is what I use to control how much air goes in and how fast the heat burns. And then right outside my door, I have this little contraption. It was just these 2 handles, and we put the wood support in the bottom, just screwed it in. And so there's where we can fill this all the way up here in the winter time, and that's the leftover wood, and most of that is cedar, so that'll burn really easily. And so we've already been gathering wood. We'll go down to the woodshed and see that.